Get a passport for your goods. What you talking about, Kalilah? Goods don't need passport, only people. Well, I'm Kalilah Reynolds, and it's time for another episode of Money Moves, JA, brought to you in partnership with EXIM Bank's Business Advisory Service, giving you the tools to grow your business. We have back with us this week CEO of Benchmark Quality Management Solutions, Dr. Velton Gooden. He'll be speaking to us about their Passport to Export campaign. Welcome back, Dr. Gooden.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be with you this evening, Kalilah.
So last time you were here, you were telling us all about what Benchmark does and the services that you offer. And there's a specific service that you offer called Passport to Export. Tell me all about that.
Wow. Passport to Export is a process that we have developed and labeled as Passport to Export to simplify the minds of our potential clients, what they need in order to get into the export market. Today with the advent of COVID-19, we hear of vaccination, and people are talking about the vaccination passport that you need to travel. Mm-hmm. So it's a play on that, and basically what it speaks to is the set of processes that you need to hurdle in order to meet the market requirements of the market that you're targeting.
Okay, so in this passport, I get all my passport stamps from
Yes.
Benchmark. Mm-hmm. What does it cover?
Well, what it covers is the certification that you need in order to access the market of interest, and it differs for different marketplace. So, for example, if you're exporting to the EU, in addition to basic food requirements, they're very environmental management centric. So they care a lot for the environment. So you might need to put in a system like ISO 14000, which is an environmental management system. So what we do, dependent on the requirements for the target market, we basically lead you through that process and ensure that you have the necessary approvals to enter the country. Because very often we have heard many horror stories of person developing a product. It could be a food product or any other product. They ship only to have their goods stopped at the port of entry and sometimes turned back at enormous cost to themselves.
Oh no.
Yes.
That's very disappointing.
Yes.
More than disappointing because you're losing money.
Absolutely.
All right, so this passport isn't a generic thing. It's something that you customize for
It has to be
client.
customized, yes, because the requirements are different.
Right.
It's just like if you need to, in your passport, you have to have a visa for the EU, separate from the visa to the US. So it really depends on where you're going.
Yeah. I'm looking at my notes and I'm seeing all kind of abbreviations.
Mm-hmm.
What's the HACCP and how can you get that certification?
Right. That's one of the passport for export, depending on where you're going. Now, what HACCP means is Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point. And it's really a food safety system based on assessing the hazards associated with each step in your process. So usually these hazards are chemical, physical, and microbiological hazards. So what we do, we look at each step and we look at the likelihood of one of those types of hazard impacting your food or process at that point. And then we put in measures to mitigate, either to minimize the risk or totally eliminate that risk if it were possible. And so at the end, what you have is a managed system which ensures that your food is safe and is ready for the marketplace.
What's the PRP?
Well, PRP is the acronym for Prerequisite Program. And what it speaks to is a set of protocols that you have to have in place in order for you to have a certifiable HACCP system. So it's called prerequisite because it's normally put in before you put in the HACCP system. So an example of a PRP would be a pesticide management system. Pests are everywhere. And I'm sure you may have had the experience of buying a food product or trying to consume something and then you see an insect in that. And I can just see your face now.
Oh my goodness, no.
Right. So that's a no-no. So a PRP would ensure that you have a good pesticide management program in place. You would have standard operating procedures. You would have identified the safe pesticides that are food compatible. You would have had the physical infrastructure in place, maybe the screens. And I'm sure you may have entered maybe restaurants or food preparation areas where you see this purple. We call them commonly bug labs, but they are called insectocutor. They attract and trap insects to minimize the insects from getting into your food. So it's really a comprehensive program. Then you also have a sanitation program, waste management program. There are a number of them. And again, it's not generic. So each plant, each deli, each food preparation establishment would need their own set of requirements based on what it is that they're trying to achieve.
How long does it typically take you when you're working with a new client to get them export ready?
Again, it depends on their state of readiness. So for companies that maybe had been exported before, let's say you used to export to the US before 2011, you would have had some basic things in place already. Now with these additional requirements, then you have to meet those additional requirements. So the amount of work that is required would be less than a person starting from scratch.
Right.
So, but typically speaking, if it is that we're starting from scratch, it could be anywhere between 6 months and a year or longer, again, depending on the sort of infrastructure that you already have.
And what type of money are we talking about? Like, how much will this cost me? Just give me a range.
It varies a lot.
I'm sure
it varies a lot. We try to be flexible in our approach. So, again, it depends on the type of system, but it could run anywhere from a couple of $100,000, meaning like 200, 300. Or, if you're a big company with maybe multiple sites, it could run into millions. So it really depends.
And also depending on how much work you need.
How much work you need.
Right.
And the complexity of your the product. If you're dealing with certain types of products like meat or dairy products, or products that have food allergens that could make people sick, then of course you have to put in more measures to mitigate those risks, and therefore it will be more costly.
Remind us how people can reach you.
Well, they can reach us again through our telephone contact. We're at 927-5888. They can walk into our offices. We're at Unit 6, 80 Lady Musgrave Road. Or they can reach us by email at info@benchmarkqms.com.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gooden.
It's a pleasure.
Valuable information.
Here's a recap of Dr. Gooden's main points. Passport to Export helps to get clients ready for the international export market. Prerequisite programs, PRP as the name suggests, are minimum control measures, actions, and procedures put in place before a certifiable hazard system. Hazard Analysis Critical Control Points, HACCP, is a management system in which food safety is addressed through the analysis and control of biological, chemical, and physical hazards. It can take 6 months to a year to get a new company export ready through Benchmark.
That's it for this episode of MoneyMovesJa, brought to you in partnership with EXIM Bank's Business Advisory Service, giving you the tools to grow your business. Visit their website at eximbankja.com and visit my website, KalilahReynolds.com, for a summary of this episode. You can click the link in the description box below. I'm Kalilah Reynolds. Until next time.
Let's get this money.